Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Universal Journeys Radio with your hosts, Dr. Brenda L. Bates and Donny Winter. Follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. Universal Journeys Radio is about how spirituality intersects with nearly every other aspect of our lives, even when we do not see it or realize it. Creativity and expression are our connections to the spiritual energy many seek to understand, and our identity is forged through this process. Universal Journeys seeks to help illuminate the different intersections between creativity, spirituality, and identity in order to empower and enlighten. Tonight, our topic is Anything Goes. We will be discussing a variety of topics. We will be doing readings and taking calls, answering questions. If you guys would like to participate, our number is 347-850-8292. Hello, Brenda, dear.
Hello.
How are you on this fine afternoon?
Oh, I am doing just fine. I'm trying to wake up, but I'm doing just fine.
Oh, Brenda. Brenda decided to take a nap, which I probably should have done too, but I probably would have ended up sleeping too long, and then I'd be a zombie right now, so...
Yeah, I tell you, it was a long weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Just
glad.
had to say yeah that many times to get the point.
Too funny.
Okay, so before we do anything, did we want to get to our first caller?
Sure. Go for the gusto.
All right. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, hello?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good. What's your name?
Alfina.
Okay. Did you have a question for us?
Yes. Actually, I just was wondering if I could get general advice or whatever you guys can pick up.
Okay. So just like general advice, or did you have like a specific question that you wanted to ask us, like related to a specific aspect of your life?
Okay. There's this person with the initial D, and I'm wondering what his intentions are at this moment. Or whatever you can pick up around there.
Okay.
I'm thinking what I'm feeling is he's trying to figure that out too, and I was like, okay, let me play around here with this a little bit, this little idea, and like, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to go forward with this? And I mean, he's kind of like, what is going on?
Brenda, you kind of broke up there for a second.
Did I?
Yeah, just a few words,
How am I now?
But I can totally hear you now.
Okay.
Did you have anything else to add to that?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay. I'm in the same boat that Brenda is. I think he's trying to figure that out too. I think that he is drawn to your, like, I feel like you are the type of person who gives off this sense of focus and stability, and I feel like he is drawn to that because he lacks that in his life. He's the type of person that tries to give the impression that he is very focused and stable when in fact he isn't deep down, but he isn't necessarily honest with himself about that. I don't necessarily think that his intentions are negative, but if he is the type of person who is seeking focus and stability, he's going to start feeding off from your focus and stability, which could in turn, affect you as well.
So you're saying that he's attracted to me because of my focus or something like that?
I'm not necessarily saying that he's attracted to you, because I don't know, like, what his specific intentions are, like what type of relationship he wants. But I know that what...
there's a backstory here, so I'm not going to go too much into details about it, but I guess I would probably more likely say, yeah, I guess he probably at this point doesn't know what he wants, so I'll just take that.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
Now the thing is, I think at some point he's going to expect you to help him determine what he wants, but he's going to have to discover that on his own. Because some people don't necessarily like to face their inner growth. They expect other people to grow for them, but that can't happen. Everyone has to reach their different heights on their own.
Mm.
He feels like he leans on you quite a little bit, and almost to the point to where you're like, get back.
No, he doesn't lean on me. Like, I wouldn't say that, no. But, okay, yeah, I just wanted to know that, but, okay.
Okay.
Well, okay.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. So, all right. Interesting.
It's interesting that she mentioned that, because I do believe that a lot of people can give false impressions. A lot of false impressions, and we end up misinterpreting those impressions. Because I know I've had this happen to me before, where I've had people, kind of lean on me before, but I didn't necessarily want to believe that was happening. But
right.
No, go ahead, Brenda.
I was going to say, and you do have individuals who do not believe that, and there are many different ways of leaning on a person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if we're only thinking about the word itself, like leaning, then we may miss the whole point, and that may be the case in this particular thing. So,
mm-hmm. Exactly.
But that's okay too.
Yeah, indeed. So I was reading this very interesting article earlier today. I cannot remember where it's from. I should have kept it up on my computer, but oh well. There was an article published about some sort of study on how people interact and use the emotion of dread in anticipating people's reactions. At certain points when we anticipate that we may have hurt someone or we may have upset someone, we end up having this dread inside us that, ends up hurting ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know from you, Brenda, how would you suggest people overcome that rather destructive emotion?
Well, that's a human nature thing. And it's kind of a challenge to overcome that. Because there are times when I do it. It's just, you have to say, nope, I'm not going to go and I'm not going to assume, because that's what we're doing. And once we change our way of looking at it or our frame of mind, it seems to turn out a little bit differently, because they may not even be thinking what we're thinking at that particular time. And so it's just to step back and say, is this my issue? Because 9 times out of 10, it is my issue.
Right.
And it really is our issue. So it's like stepping back, realizing, okay, am I reading into this? Am I not reading into this? I need to step back out of my own emotions to see what the reality of it is. So that's what I would say, suggest, is stepping out of it for that reality to be able to really get it.
Right. And I think another thing is, it all comes down to also it being an insecurity, because an insecurity would trigger that type of response. I know I have experienced this many times, and I've gotten better with it, but it's something that I still go through every now and then. Like, something happens. Usually it involves me having to change plans or cancel plans with people, and then the person ends up not responding or they don't talk to me, and I'm like, oh, God, what did I do? They're mad at me. Oh, my heavens, what's going on? And then I end up freaking myself out, and then I end up realizing, okay, there was an insecurity here. I want to make everybody happy. So because of that, I worked myself up and self-bullied, like I'm going to use the word self-bullying again. I self-bullied because I wasn't able to make them happy. And in the end, I mean, the other person doesn't know about this because I'm not telling them about this. I'm just, keeping it in and beating myself up. And in the end, it just hurts me. And I think a lot of people do that without realizing it. But what the trick is being able to, like you were saying, like remove. I think you said remove yourself from it. You have to remove yourself from it in order to examine it. And in doing so, that helps the person make a better determination to work through that situation.
Right, because a lot of times what we do is we go on our senses. We go on our senses in emotions and stuff like that. And sometimes when we're in a distraught, that's when we miss the cues, miss the signals and stuff like that. So in order for us to get the right information, we need to realize our own insecurities when we're in that particular type of state and to be able to back out of it. And the self-awareness is huge. That's something that you have to start doing. Even when you're going through the process of spirituality, all of it is self-awareness. I mean, we think, we're looking at that person and what they need to do and what, should be good for them. But in actuality, we're seeing what we need to do, what type of, work we need to do on ourselves.
Exactly. And, the interesting thing that I was just thinking about is people who experience that also don't like change, and they do not like to hear the truth, like their own inner truth. And like I said, this was something that I've had to work through, and I'm sure at some point in your life you've had to work through it too. And I mean, if we can't expect the truth from other people, how can we, expect the truth from ourselves, right? So being able to exist,
I think it's the opposite way around, really. We can't expect the truth from other people if we can't tell our own truth.
Yeah,
we can't recognize it.
I think that's what I meant. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
But the thing is, a lot of people, they have difficulties interacting with people because of this. Like, they can't accept their own inner truth, so they never fully trust other people. And I think that stems a lot of conflict in different relationships, too.
That's true. Our own insecurity is what gets in the way of a lot of things. I mean, there's different areas, different forms, different aspects. You name it, it's there. It's like in relationships when you think you want someone or someone in your life, not necessarily a particular target, but someone in your life to fulfill something that you are not doing or you don't have. We sometimes sabotage that too. So we have to look at, okay, what is it? What do you really want? I was like, okay, what do I really want in my life? Do I want someone in my life, or am I just saying I want someone in my life? Because it seems like every time that I want someone in my life, someone pops into my life, or a potential mate, if you want to call it that, then, we end up sabotaging it. And that's something that I've been looking at here recently is like, all right, I say I want somebody, but I'm not allowing anybody to come in. They're popping up here, and it's like, oh, nope, I get scared, I back away. Oh, nope, I can't help it. Oh, nope. So those are some things right there that we go through.
Exactly. And I know we've mentioned this before on the show, is sometimes in order to get through that type of insecurity, it involves having to remove people from our lives, like, removing certain friendships, adjusting different relationships. And I found this article about toxic people, like 10 types of toxic people that mentally strong people avoid, and it's from EliteDaily.com. I don't know if this is necessarily a reliable source, but I thought it would be something interesting for us to discuss in any case. Because, we may have encountered these people throughout our lives, and we may have had certain experiences with people who have, kind of caused us to be in a type of toxic relationship, okay? So the first one that they have listed on here are the show-offs, which those who feel the need to be showy are always compensating for something and trying to prove their worth to themselves. Unfortunately for them, this is how you know they have little worth. Showing and trying to make other people envious is a waste of time unless you're trying to make yourself feel better about yourself at the expense of others. People that do such things are not the kind of people that you want in your circle. And I thought, I would have worded it a bit differently than how they worded it, but it still brings up an interesting point. These are the type of people who are always compensating for something, who are always trying to prove themselves at the expense of other people. And I have encountered this a lot in the workplace. People try to outdo other people, try to garner more attention at the expense of another person. And, it's not necessarily limited to a work environment. I think this happens in friendships as well. It's that unnecessary competition that does nothing but, cause tension. I don't know, have you ever had experiences with that?
Oh, yeah, quite a few times. The question that I have for us is, how do we know we're not that person? How can you tell whether or not we are, or, because we can see it in others. Does that mean also that we have that tendency too? Is that what we do?
See, I think what distinguishes people too, that's a very good question you brought up, is that people like you and I are capable of determining when we are doing that, and we can change our behavior if we recognize it. Most people don't recognize that type of thing, at least from what I've noticed. Now, I'm sure there are many exceptions, but even though we do, it doesn't make it right regardless, because we shouldn't have to continually validate ourselves through, reaction from other people. Although I will say that I think it's very important for other people to provide positive feedback for people regularly.
Yeah, but even if they provided us with the feedback, okay, would we take it, or would we get upset because they're like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about? And that does happen. That does happen.
I think it's okay to be upset as long as we don't behave in a way that turns us into one of those people who tries to outdo our other people around us, Because we can take it in three different ways. We can either accept the criticism and do something to change, or we can internalize the criticism and self-loathe, which injures us, or we can take the criticism and while we're self-loathing, try to feed off from other people's insecurity in order to make us seem like we're above them. That's, I think, what the show-off is.
Right, and it's the validation with talking to other people and getting their opinions that we want. It's the validation with that. But I have to agree with you. And that comes in time. That comes in time with trying to figure out who we are, to really go into retrospect and say, okay, this is who I am, and I need to try to fix it, if I indeed want to fix it. Because, hey, the show-offs can be pretty fun after a while. Not after a while, but they can be pretty fun to be around.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's really,
No, I was just going to say there's a difference between being a genuine, confident person who wants other people's insight and a show-off. Definitely.
Yep, there's many things out there, and I don't know if we can correct that in an individual. I'm not even sure how we could, because if we confronted them, per se, we would only be damaging possibly them and us, which is, potential.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned that. So go ahead.
No, I'm done. Sorry.
I was just going to say it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think like, I don't think we can change that in them. Only they can, like, they will only be able to make that change when they recognize that they're doing that, when they're behaving in that manner. Because,
self-awareness.
I mean, right, self-awareness. And I feel like if we confront people like that and try to discuss that with them, they will, you know, lash back at us, and then we could either just slink away and, you know, not respond to them, or we'll end up getting agitated and lashing back at them too, which, I mean, that basically would be placing us on their level.
Right. And we end up doing that, though. That's the interesting part, is we know this, we know the self-awareness, we know, you know, what they're doing, and that's their personality at this particular time. Does it mean that they can change? Yeah, sooner or later, maybe. Do they want to change? Maybe not. Maybe they don't need to change, and they are who they are. But by us working with them or lashing out at them or trying to change them, we're not doing them any favors. So what we do and realize is we need to look at what our part is to play in all of this. And once we figure out what our part to play is and what we need to learn from this particular instance, then we grow. And even that, once we learn that, then it's like, okay, it's okay for them to be that way. I mean, it's a lesson. They come in our lives for a reason. Just like we come into their lives for a reason. And once you realize the reason, then you're like, okay, I think I got this. Let's go forward. You can either stay friends with them, or you can just say, okay, I've had enough now. I need to go and be on your way.
Exactly.
You
Well, and see, I've been in friendships like this where, like, the show-off mentality involves a lot of jealousy, too. Because when another person is very jealous, they try to continually overcompensate and reassert themselves. I had a friend once who was always very jealous that I, you know, went to school and that I had a lot of friends, and this individual would continually remind me of that and continually say, well, like, aren't I your friends? Like, don't you love me? Like, aren't I worth anything? And at first I was like, oh gosh, am I not, you know, making this friend feel like they're worth anything? And then I looked back and I realized that I did a lot for this person, and I did go out of my way for this person, but it was never good enough because this person wasn't the object, like the person that I focused on. Like she realized that I never put 1,000,000% into her, because I believed that all of my friends were important. You know, I still believe that.
Well, the thing is,
put a strain on it.
Yeah, and it does, because she's trying to fill an empty spot within her through you. And until they realize that they're the ones responsible for filling that empty spot, that's going to be that way, and it does put a strain on relationships. So
definitely.
Once you figure out, or once they figure out, okay, I can do this on my own, then they're going to be the way they are until they do. And then, of course, you can either sit there and take it, or realize that, okay, time for me to say, all right, I'll see you later. Let's talk, or whatever. So it's the dynamics and the aspects of different personalities. You know, that's, in a way, that really goes along with passive-aggressive personalities. Passive-aggressive personalities is almost like a love-hate relationship. But the only thing is the passive-aggressive personality, it's everyone else's fault but theirs. And they'll be the first one after they do something to say, oh, I'm sorry, that's not me, type of deal. And then all of a sudden, you know, a day or two goes by, and, well, they shouldn't have approached me that way. And the fault goes back to the other person, which the person is not the one who perpetrated it.
Exactly.
So we have to look at all of those type of personalities. But go ahead.
Right, and the thing is, I think we'll always encounter people like that. It's what we need to worry about doing is how we react to those people, because we're responsible for how we react. And if we react in the same way that they are confronting us, we're simply falling into that cycle that they've created. And I think a lot of people enjoy seeing that, because people like that enjoy to knock all other people off kilter, you know. And once we're knocked off kilter and we fall into it, then we become essentially what they're trying to be, trying to, you know, provide, I suppose.
Right. The other thing, too, is we have to watch out is what in this relationship that triggers this in you. I mean, I've had to do that. I had to look at, okay, this passive aggressive behavior I don't like. So what is it in me that's triggering this to come out? So it's like that self-reflecting thing again. We have to look at that. And is it something that we need to learn? Well, 9 times out of 10 we do. Or something we need to let go. Yeah, so that's what, this is all a lesson. This big old thing that we're in here, you know, called Earth and called life, is all a lesson.
Yep, that's definitely true.
And it's even a lesson for those on the other side, you know, who are the show-offs, who have to be bigger than life. And those are type of lessons. Maybe it's a lesson that they have to learn that they can be. Before, maybe in a past lifetime or another time in their life, that they were not. And they were very shy, meek, mild, and so they had to learn to be able to come out into the world and be something or someone, and sometimes this is the way they do it. Unfortunately, it may have its side effects, too.
Exactly. Well, Brenda, we have come up on half an hour. Do we want to take a break?
Sure. And welcome back to Universal Journeys. We are here with Donny Winter and Dr. Brenda Bates.
Sounds like you have a bird in there somewhere.
But it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, wait a minute here. We're not saying anything.
Well, it got quiet, and then I heard the bird, and I was like, oh, the song's not over with. Just kidding.
So,
okay,
Donny, is there something you want to plug? Go ahead.
Oh, yes. Before we get started, I wanted to do a few advertisements. First, if you enjoy listening to our show, you're more than welcome to visit our social media sites. If you go to Facebook and you type in Universal Journeys, you should be able to find our Facebook page. The user picture is one of Dr. Brenda and I, and it's very lovely. So if you like our page, you'll be able to follow our different shows, the different topics that we're going to be discussing, and all in all, you'll be able to participate in the conversation, because we like to have conversation. We like questions. We love interaction, so feel free to interact with us. And also, we're in the process of getting Universal Journeys up on YouTube. I think we've had the first 2 shows uploaded. If you go to youtube.com and type in Universal Journeys, you should be able to find us there and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
All right, do that. So we left off our last half an hour talking about 10 types of toxic people that mentally strong people should avoid. And like I said, this article that I'm referencing was posted on Elite Daily, which isn't necessarily a reliable source, but it is something interesting to consider. And it's not exactly worded in any way that I would word it, but I can't will people to write in the way that I want them to write, so yeah. Okay, so the first one that we talked about before was the show-offs, which are the people who try to validate themselves at the expense of other people. They make themselves feel better through making other people's not feel so good. The second one is the unintelligent. And I'm going to quote what this article is saying. It says, quote, "I'm not talking the kind of dumb that can't be helped. I'm talking about the kind of dumb that is a result of an immense ego, voluntary ignorance, and self-righteousness. Most of us know at least one or two people who are completely unintelligent as a result of continually making bad decisions and not learning from their mistakes for their entire lives. Ready, go, Brenda. Tell me what you think.
Ready, go. I'm thinking, really? Do people really do that? That's what I was thinking.
I'd never believed that would happen.
Well, I'm like, really? I guess I've really never. Well, maybe.
I'm not gonna lie. I do know some people. Like, I wouldn't call them unintelligent necessarily, but I do know people who do the same thing over and over again, and they get a bad result, but they never understand what they're doing, and they never understand why something bad is happening to them. So it's this constant cycle. It goes kind of like with the last one that we talked about. They create this cycle that themselves and other people are in all the time. And I don't think they're stupid, but they choose to ignore. They choose to ignore the situation that they're going through that causes this. And in turn, it hurts them. And what may hurt other people is them asking other people, well, why did these things happen to me? What's wrong with me? Why are you better than me? You know, it kind of feeds into that need for validation.
Wouldn't that be kind of considered a drama person?
Yeah. I would say so. I don't know what that sound effect was. Just pretend you didn't hear that. But
that came from you there, dear Don.
I know. I'm very stuttery apparently.
But no, I mean, the way they explained it, the way they explained it almost reminds me, and this is how close related this is someone who likes drama. And they don't realize that they like drama. It's just what happens.
Exactly. Well, it's because they choose to not believe what's happening to them is happening to them, and it's a negative thing. If they realize that, I feel like they'd be able to make a change, or if they didn't feel the need to avoid it, they would be able to change that. But like I said, I wouldn't use the wording that the article is saying. I wouldn't say that they're unintelligent. They are just choosing to be avoidant people.
Well, the other thing, too, is they can make you think that they're unintelligent. I know it doesn't be crazy, but it's like, okay, why are you doing it this way? You know what we're talking about. You know what you're doing, but yet you choose to make us feel or think that you don't know what's going on. And in fact, because you said you yourself you know what it is, and you do this. So is it something that they really are not intelligent about, or is it something that they're totally intelligent about and they know?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So,
and again, I just think it comes down to acknowledging it. Okay, so the next one on the list is the leeches. And I'll quote the article. It says, growing up, we've all had or been that friend who is always a bit broke and always happy to take a handout. When our friends are at a difficult point in their lives, there's no reason not to help them out or offer to pay for a few rounds of their drinks so they come out and have fun with the rest of the group. The problem is when the person seems comfortable in the position and is making little to no effort of improving their financial situation. And I don't think this necessarily has to just be about finances either. I think this could also be on an emotional level too. There are people who become comfortable in feeding on other people's emotional states or feeding on certain resources that people possess.
Well, that's almost like an energy vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Although it could be very much so as a money thing.
Exactly.
Again,
Exactly.
do they, I mean, all these things is like, do they realize that they do this? Or is it just something natural?
Right. And I think all of these things that we've been talking about so far are learned experiences, because when we say, if we grow up being around other people who do that same thing, we're going to be like, oh, this must be okay because everyone else has been doing it. And until they realize that, you know, what they learned necessarily when they were young isn't necessarily the best thing for everyone, they're going to be like, oh, I have to change, or they'll just continue to try to do it. I really think it depends on the type of person. There are people out there who genuinely don't wish to, you know, leech off from other people. There are other people who don't care whether or not they do. I've been in situations where I've had people leech off me, and it's been very difficult because at one hand you don't want to upset them and be like, no, but at the other hand you want to be like, okay, like, you need to stop this right now because this is unacceptable. You need to develop, you know, autonomy. But again, I think it comes down to recognizing it and being able to distinguish that.
Well, the other thing, too, is how did they grow up? Did they grow up with parents like that or one parent like that? And they saw their behavior and what they did and it be acceptable?
Exactly. Like, it all comes down to what they saw and how they process it and how they act on it. If that makes sense to me.
Yes.
Okay. So we've covered the show-offs, the people who choose to ignore, and the leeches. Number 4 is the lazy. Quote, laziness is a disease, one that is highly contagious. Lazy people make other people lazy. The more you hang around the immobile, the less you will feel the need to be immobile. The mentally strong are not impervious. Hang around lazy people too often and you'll notice your productivity and general enjoyment of life plummeting. I agree and disagree with this statement, okay? I do understand that laziness can be contagious, but it's not like, I don't believe that it is like an actual disease or whatever like that.
No, I don't either. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think we can choose to be lazy or we can choose not to be. If we see other people doing it and we're like, oh, other people are doing it, it must be okay for me to do it, then we'll do it. But at the same time, like, I can see being like, you know, hey, like, you can be lazy, but I want to be productive because it's how I pass time or whatever, you know. And we also have to take into consideration that people who suffer from depression are often considered very lazy people. So making the assumption that lazy people are bad, I mean, I think it's important to know why the person is being lazy in the first place. Is it just genuine laziness, or is there legitimately a problem, you know?
Right. And that's always a tough one for regular individuals or, you know, normal individuals to figure out. And the only thing is, again, like the article mentioned, that we have to make sure that we get into that mode, because we can be affected by it.
Exactly. I mean, if people are putting out a laziness energy and they're not realizing it, like, to some people, like, if you are doing stuff, like, certain lazy people will encourage you not to do it and just, you know, hey, just kick back and relax or whatever. And I think that can also cause people to not be productive, depending on the situation and depending on what they're doing too. So, but at the end of the day, I think it's important to consider why the person's being lazy before making the assumption of whether or not they're a bad person because of it, you know.
Right.
Okay, so number 5 is kind of funny. Number 5 is anyone who lives by the saying YOLO, which is you only live once, I believe. I think that's what it means. It's a pretty new term, but people use it all the time now. Have you heard it, Brenda? I'm sure you've heard it.
Oh, I've heard it. I'm thinking, really? No, we live more than once, but that's just me. But you can be really determined. I mean, because you know that you only live once, I mean, you can be kind of crazy and wild and totally awesome. So there's a lot of things that go on with that. I don't necessarily see that as a negative, although it gets boring after a while.
Well, and I think I will explain why I think this article is claiming that it's negative, and I'll quote it. Quote, understanding that you only live life once can put your life into perspective. In fact, it should put your life in perspective, yet the Justin Biebers, Drakes, and Miley Cyruses of the world somehow managed to get that message completely backward. From what the article is saying, YOLO, according to these individuals that I referenced, are the, quote, let's get wasted and high and do stupid crap, throw it all over ourselves and possibly die while we're at it. Yes, YOLO, the whole origin of this saying doesn't suggest doing pointless, dumb crap. And then later it says, YOLO means you should spend your time doing something meaningful with a purpose. You have a chance, don't screw it up. And I think it's interesting because there are a lot of people who believe that YOLO means go out and party and have fun when it means, doing something meaningful that has a purpose. I mean, I guess if partying is a purpose to someone, then I guess it's okay that they do it, But I can understand what the article is saying, but again, I would state it differently.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from that, number 6 is the big talkers. And it says, those that spend their time running their mouths spend little time doing anything else. It's the mentally strong that don't bother doing the time talking because the work they are doing speaks for itself. The talkers, on the other hand, have nothing but empty words they're speaking. Again, I agree and disagree with this. I'm a person that likes to use words, and for me, what I speak, I personally don't feel that they're empty words, okay? Usually what I say has a reason behind it. But I understand where the article is coming from, too, because some people do more talking than they do listening. It all comes down to the balance of talking versus listening. I think a person has to listen as much as they speak, if not more. Because the more we listen, the more we understand people, and the more we are able to make a difference,
I agree because I don't know what I agree on, to tell you the truth. The big talkers, to me, those are the ones who are trying to show off. Those are the ones who want people to like them and things like that. Now, people who use words, you could say that, but also when you are, say, going to college, you learn big words, so that's what you want to use because the more you use them, they become part of your vocabulary.
Right.
And
I guess that's also... No, go ahead.
No, I'm not. I'm finished. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say a lot of people assume, because I've had people assume this before, because I have a fairly hefty vocabulary, and I enjoy using large words because I think that they are more precise in, what I'm trying to say, but a lot of people get intimidated by that, and then they assume that I'm trying to show off and be silly, which isn't necessarily the intention, And I think it kind of goes both ways. There are people who spend more time throwing out those big words without listening to the people around them, and then there are times where there are people who use those big words to help the other people around them understand each other to a better degree. And like I said, words are a tool. It's how we use them that makes them good or bad,
True. Very true. That is very true.
Okay, so number 7 is the constantly depressed. And it says, not those that have an actual chemical imbalance, but those who act like they do. We all know people who are always feeling bad for themselves, always complaining about how difficult their lives are and how unlucky they are. Bad luck is not a lifelong circumstance. If your life sucks, then guess what? It's mostly, if not entirely, your fault. Don't keep these folks around you unless you want them to bring you down with them. And I can definitely see where this is coming from, because there are people out there who, this kind of goes back into the emotional, vampire thing. There are people who will continually feel bad for themselves and complain about their entire lives and how inconvenient their lives are, just to get a reaction out of the people around them, get a pat on the back or be like, oh, hey, stop, kind of a reaction. When, in fact, there are actual people out there who do have a condition that causes them to be this way. And the thing that we have to be careful about is determining who has the condition and who doesn't have the condition. And from what I've discovered, the people who do have the condition are less likely to want validation from other people because, I know from experience that one thing that comes with depression is apathy, and most of the time they don't care what the other people think in any case. I mean, there are exceptions, of course, but, and I've had people in my life who are the ones who their life sucks, and they're very, very, very draining.
Well, and it goes back to you make your own stuff. I mean, you make it. You could either make it successful or you could make it not successful, and that's up to them. But they don't take responsibility for it.
Exactly.
And they help out and drain, and because they're receiving energy, it's like energy there with that. So there's a lot, and then sometimes they don't recognize it. Again, they don't recognize what they're doing because they've done it all their lives, and sometimes people do, and so it's a lesson they have to learn.
Exactly.
I know I've been saying that quite a little bit, but it is indeed a lesson they have to learn.
Well, and I think that's the most poignant thing you can say because, with all of these different things, it's all about recognizing and, demonstrating self-awareness regarding these different things. Okay.
Yep.
So before we go to our next break, I will do another one, okay? So the first on this list is those who stay within their comfort zones, okay? It says if we wish...
What?
Huh?
It's like, what?
I know, it's pretty surprising, right? It says, if we wish to live a life of adventure, then those who aren't adventurous need to be avoided. All those you meet and come across in your life are partners on your journey, if only for a few seconds. Those we keep around more regularly end up steering our direction more than we realize. If you hope to leave your comfort zone regularly, then don't hang with those people who aren't willing to leave theirs. Their chain simply isn't long enough to go for the ride. So what this is trying to say is that if we befriend ourselves to people who stay within their comfort zones, they will hold us back in some way and prevent us from doing what we're supposed to do. And I will say that I agree with this, but there's also another part of it that I want us to all take into consideration, okay? There is a such thing as being too far out of your comfort zone, too. Because I know people who are so adventurous that it becomes self-destructive. Like, if you're going to continually go on adventures and do whatever you want and not take any responsibility, what's that going to do to your life? It's just going to disrupt your life and cause chaos for the people around you. And I also agree that it's important to realize that people who who stay in their comfort zone hold other people back because, I can't even tell you how many times that's happened to me. Like, I've had situations where, I didn't want to do something because other people didn't want me to do that because it would be too much of a change for them. And I ended up avoiding it, and it just ended up hurting me in the end. But, and I've also been on the opposite, where I've been so adventurous that it's hurt other people, too. So it's important to, establish a sense of boundaries, a sense of balance, because while it's important to be adventurous, it's also important to not be reckless. They're kind of two opposite ends.
Yeah, but the only way that you're going to know what boundaries that you have and, a comfort zone and stuff like that is to get out there and actually experience it. So you have to experience the, pushing out of the comfort zone, going way out, and then coming back before you can actually get a balance.
Right. Well, and I completely agree with that, but there are different levels of moving out of your comfort zone, too.
Right.
Like if I said, I want to be a dancer, and then I suddenly was like, I'm suddenly like in a strip bar dancing in that format when I actually wanted to be a ballroom dancer, that would kind of be move farther outside of my comfort zone than I could have that could potentially be life-threatening, depending on the situation. And then there are people out there, though, who do want to do that, though. That's the thing. But I'm referring to, me as an individual, because I'm fairly sure you could never see me doing anything like that. I couldn't see myself doing anything like that either.
Stick with me, Donny.
Oh.
That's funny.
I can't determine if that was a great analogy that I brought up or a horrible one, but it's the only one that I could think of, so there you go.
Maybe that's the deep, dark secret that you have there.
Oh, that I secretly want to be a strip bar dancer? Well, I guess I need some way to pay off college, right?
Oh, there you go. I knew it was coming up there somewhere.
Just kidding.
That's funny.
All right, well, we're up on our second half hour. Did we want to take a break?
Yep, let's take a break. Welcome back to Universal Journeys Radio. And that's what friends are for by Beyond Your Work. Are you my friend, Donny? Oh, you're my friend.
Oh, Brenda.
What?
You were so entertaining.
Okay, so getting back on topic after you, my friend.
So before we continue our list of toxic things, I figured I would do a shameless plug for my own YouTube channel. If you are ever on YouTube and you like watching people do video blogging, I am on YouTube. If you go to my channel, it's Donny Winter, DONNY, and WINTER, except the word "and" is in there, just Donny Winter. And I do a lot of videos about this type of subject. I do a lot of videos about bullying, LGBTQ rights, geeky things, random things, lots of things. So if you like all those things, feel free to subscribe to my channel. That would be totally awesome.
Fine.
Okay. Alrighty then. So number 9 on the list of 10 types of toxic people that mentally strong people should avoid. Number 9 is the non-dreamers. And I'm quoting the saying, it's those who can't dream don't live. Life is about believing that things can be better, not just for you, but for everyone. What makes people human is dreaming and hoping that the change to come will be for the better. Those that don't dream won't allow you to dream either and will do their best to prove to you that your dreams are just that, dreams.
True.
And that is one that definitely hits a lot of points there, because I know a lot of people who are very, 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 very logical to the point where it is almost unnatural, And those are the type of people who will continually discourage you from doing things that you're interested in. Like for you, for example, you had people discouraging you from the business that you bought.
Right.
And I had people discouraging me, from doing YouTube or, doing various things like that. And it's like, hey, why are you trying to, invalidate my dream because, you don't feel it's a realistic one. Only I can determine whether or not it's a realistic one based on my own experiences, not the other way around.
Right, and you did have someone or people discouraging you from going out to Missouri. Out to Missouri. I can't remember which one now. It's the end anyway.
Yeah. Missouri.
Going to college out there. Yeah. So, it's because they don't want to adventure out there, and they're getting out of that comfort zone, and they're scared stuff. And
yeah, exactly.
If you're taking a chance to get out of your comfort zone, and you're taking a chance to better your life, why not?
Right.
Why not try? So I can see that too. I can understand that.
And the thing is, I feel really sad for people like this because there are people who grow up believing that they can't follow their dreams, and I think those types of people become the non-dreamers because they don't feel like anything they can do is realistic. And that's really sad. And if you're a person like that out there, I want to tell you, your dreams are important to you. If you feel as though you can't, that you can't achieve your dreams, then you won't achieve your dreams. And I think it's important for people to have dreams because those help us continue to improve ourselves and grow as individuals.
Yes, I agree.
Telling someone that they can't do that is discouraging.
Right. Instead of saying, okay, how are you going to do it? Ask them. When you don't discourage them, say, okay, how are you going to do it? Do the step-by-step type of thing. And then if there's something that you might be able to give them an idea on, then you'll be able to do that. But you don't want to squash anybody's dreams. One of the things that I find interesting with some of this stuff is I ask people, they say, well, I don't know what to do now. And I always go, what is your passion? What was your passion? And I'm so dumbfounded when people tell me, I don't have a passion. I don't know what I like. I'm like, what? That's not fathomable for me because I have passions. But when people say that they don't have a passion, or that's almost, to me, you're telling me that you're not dreaming. There's no dream there. That's kind of what I see in that one. Doesn't necessarily mean that, but that's what I see. It's like, okay, you don't have a passion, so you don't have a dream. You don't have a goal. Why not? Do you just like to live life like, okay, I'm humdrum like you are. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. Oh, but you got to have a dream.
I completely agree with you. Well, but now you kind of faded out there.
I said you have to help people to achieve their dreams in their passions, because that's really what it's all about. And you have more satisfaction with helping them, holding back.
Exactly.
I'm off my pedestal.
Huh?
I said, okay, I'm off my pedestal now.
I love it when you're on your pedestal, though, Brenda.
At least I had one foot up there anyways.
Better to have a foot on the pedestal than elsewhere, right? Okay, so the 10th and final one on the list is the non-believers. Worse than those who don't dream are those who dream but don't believe that they can turn those dreams into reality, which kind of goes on to what we were just talking about. Those who don't believe in themselves don't amount to anything in life. Those that are always there but don't influence the world, they live in a gloomy and sad world where their lives are out of their hands. They go with the flow and never attempt to achieve any sort of success. Don't rely on them to support you when you need the support either. If they don't believe in themselves, then they sure won't believe in you. And I will say that I agree and disagree with this, because there are people who are non-believers who do believe in you and who support you but don't feel as though they can achieve for themselves. Because I've had people, I've had experiences with this in my own life. But this goes along with what we were previously talking about. If you're the type of person who doesn't believe in your own dreams, how can you expect to cultivate other people's dreams, you know? How do you expect to encourage them? Have you encountered any people like this, Brenda?
Oh, me, if I did.
You're kind of breaking up, Brenda, there.
Okay, here we go.
I can hear you
Are
now.
You better now? Okay.
I can totally hear you now. Yay.
Yay. So for me, with this type of thing, I think that what I've done is if I've come across someone like this, I'm like, okay, I need to move on. Because if they can't, or if they encourage you about yours and they don't encourage them or want to do their own best or good or whatever you want to call it, then that just doesn't go. It doesn't go.
Mm-hmm.
How can they help you?
Exactly. And see, the people don't realize that they would be so much happier if they believe in their own dreams. And I think people just live their lives believing that they can't do what they enjoyed doing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's I feel like no matter how difficult things get, no matter how terrifying finances can be, or any other aspect that the person may be worried about, we still need to make time and to invest in what we enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've talked about this in prior shows before, but I think it's very valid. I still think it's very valid.
It will always be. It will always be valid.
Definitely.
Yep. Okay.
So,
Go for the gusto, Donny.
Oh, okay. So I love reading, so I was going through and looking at another article today about intuition, and I found this article titled 10 Things Highly Intuitive People Do Differently. And reading through it, I found it to be very, very neat because I could connect with most of these. And I'll read it off to you. It's from Huffington Post, and it's written by Carolyn Gregoire. I think that's how I pronounce her name. So I don't think we've talked about this article yet on the show. It doesn't seem that familiar to me, but let's do it anyway.
Okay. Sure.
The first thing that intuitive people do is they listen to that inner voice. The number one thing that distinguishes intuitive people is that they listen to rather than ignore the guidance from their intuitions and gut feelings. In order to make our best decisions, we need a balance of intuition, which serves to bridge the gap between instinct and reasoning and rational thinking. The cultural bias against following one's instinct or intuition often leads to disregarding our hunches to our own detriment. I almost said detirement. Wow, I cannot read today, apparently. See, a lot of people believe that intuition does not exist, which I cannot disagree more. A lot of people completely overlook it because, it isn't necessarily always precise. And the thing is, yeah, it's never always completely precise, but it's usually very close to being precise.
Do you know why it's not precise?
Huh?
Do you know why it's not precise?
Why is it not precise, Brenda, dear?
Because our emotions get in the way. And we're like, okay, no, that's not, yeah. If we would just blindly follow that particular that intuition, especially once you learn to trust it, then it will be precise each and every time. But our humanness gets involved in the way, and it takes us from going that next step.
Definitely. I completely agree with you.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one was they listen to that inner voice. The second one is they take time for solitude. If you want to get in touch with your intuition, a little time alone may be the most effective way, just as solitude can help give rise to creative thinking. Oh my gosh, we talked about this before, everyone. It can also help us connect to our deepest inner wisdom. Intuitive people are often introverted, although not necessarily. I do not necessarily believe that all intuitive people are introverted. However, you're an introvert or not, talking or taking time for solitude can help you engage in deeper thought and reconnect with yourself. And I completely agree with that. And notice the key word or the key two words in that is take time, because guess what? We very rarely, at least most people, take time to do anything like that. And I think that's why we've lost a lot of faith in intuition, is because we simply don't make the time to introspect and acknowledge that we have an intuition.
Mm-hmm.
I rattled that off pretty quickly. Did that make sense?
You did a good job.
Okay, Brenda, yeah. Okay, so that was number one, was they listen to that inner voice. Number two, they take time for solitude. Number three is they create. In fact, creative people are highly intuitive, and just as you can increase your creativity through practice, you can boost your intuition. In fact, practicing one may build the other. Gee, that sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And honestly, I think that speaks for itself. And like being creative and being intuitive function hand in hand, and both of them fuel each other, and it's important to keep a balance between the two.
Imagination.
Okay, the next one, exactly. The next one is they practice mindfulness. Meditation and other mindfulness practices can be an excellent way to tap into your intuition. Mindfulness can help, this is a reference that they're using, Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute. I've never heard of that institute, but it sounds interesting. Explains, mindfulness can help you filter out mental chatter, weigh your options objectively, tune into your intuition, and ultimately make a decision that you can stand behind completely. Mindfulness can also connect you to your intuition by boosting self-knowledge. Okay, and I think that's definitely true. And the thing is, like, people who refuse to believe in intuition are the type of people who are extremely logical and who believe that only logic can determine, outcomes to decisions. And people don't realize that mindfulness, using your intuition, also helps you objectively determine the correct solution to a problem, right? So for those people who don't believe in intuition, I challenge you in stating that isn't intuition logical because it helps you observe things from an objective way through introspecting and being mindful of situations? Like, I think that's pretty valid, don't you?
I do. I do.
Okay, so the next one is they observe everything. The first thing to do is notice, keeping a journal, notice when odd things happen. You'll gain a keen sense for how often coincidences or surprising connections and on-the-dot intuitions occur in your daily life. In other words, you'll start to tap into your intuition. And observing, oh my gosh, like I've said this before, people don't observe the world around them. Completely overlook so many different things, when in fact those things are what cultivates our intuition. Like, our intuition helps us notice things. And I don't know how we can go through life not being, observant of changes and fluctuations of that sort. I mean, you and I, we are always talking about how things change, all these different shifts and all of that jazz, and most people don't believe that that type of thing even exists because it always comes back to that logical thing. The people who solely live on logic don't use their own inward abilities to improve their own perceptions.
Yeah, to me that's logic. I understand logic. You're working off your left side of your brain versus your right side, depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed. However, how do these logical individuals feel that where are they getting that information? Where are they getting that inspiration from? Where are they getting that knowledge from if it's not from that?
Mm-hmm.
That's them. It's like, okay,
that's a
you think you're so logical.
A very good question.
Yeah, because you have engineers out there, and they got it. It's like, okay, they're doing it, and all of a sudden, they're working on this particular project, and they're doing all this, and they come up to a catch. It's like, okay, where's the piece of the puzzle? And they work through it, but yet, and all of a sudden, they get this aha. Where do they think they're getting the aha from? That's not from your logical brain there, dearie. Hello?
Right.
Scientists the same way. Certain scientists are the same way. It's like, hello, where do you think you're getting this information from? Certainly not your logical brain, because it can't function that way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, you crack me up.
I can't help it.
I love it, though. Okay, so the next one is they listen to their bodies. Intuitive people learn to tune into their bodies and heed their gut feelings / intuition. Mm-hmm. If you've ever started feeling sick to your stomach when you knew something was wrong but couldn't put your finger on what, you understand that intuitions can cause a physical sensation in the body. Our gut feelings are called gut feelings for a reason. Research suggests that emotion and intuition are very much rooted in the quote-unquote second brain in the gut, which I completely agree with that. What do you think, Brenda, dear?
I agree. Absolutely. When you have it, you're just like food. I mean, I noticed it a lot with food, too. It's like, all right, I'm getting ready to go in and get some broccoli or something. I'm just throwing broccoli out there because I don't really care for it. and I go in there and I get broccoli because I have to be a good girl and help my body out. Sometimes it's like I get this icky feeling in my stomach, and then it's like, okay, I'm not supposed to eat that. So I get that. I get that when I'm going into a place sometimes too, and so I'm on guard. So I'm on guard watching. It's like, okay. And then sometimes by being on guard, you actually defray what it might happen or what would have happened if you would have if you would have went in blindly. So that gut feeling, that everyone has it. And you get the butterflies. It's like certain situations that are happening, you get butterflies. Like, okay, what's going on? And that's my little warning. Whoop! Okay, what's going on? The little yellow flag. Caution, Will Robinson. So the body tells me a lot. I try to listen to my body all the time. Do I always? No, I don't. I'm human. I got the humanness in me. But I do try to listen to the body language. And that's where you can get the muscle testing thing going on as well. You can start doing the muscle testing. Although that you also have to watch out for. So.
Right. Exactly. You hit it on the head, I think. Okay, so the next one is they connect deeply with others. Mind reading may seem like the stuff of fantasy and pseudoscience, but it's actually something we do every day. It's called empathic accuracy, a term in psychology that refers to the seemingly magical ability to map someone's mental terrain from their words, emotions, and body language, according to Psychology Today. when you see a spider crawling on someone's leg, you feel the creepy sensation, Marcia Reynolds writes in Psychology Today. Similarly, when you observe someone reach out to a friend and they are pushed away, your brain registers the sensation of rejection. When you watch your team win or a couple embrace on television, you feel their emotions as if you were there. Social emotions like guilt, shame, pride, embarrassment, disgust, and lust can be all experienced by watching others. Tuning into your own emotions and spending time both observing and listening to others face-to-face can help boost your powers of empathy.
True.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep, I agree with you.
All I can say is true because it is true. Empathy is huge. There are things that I have come across, even when my roommate drops something and I'm in bed, I'm laying there and I'm half awake, half asleep. Even when I'm fully awake, he may drop something and I feel the vibration within that second brain.
Mm-hmm.
So that is empathy for whatever fell, and I also feel empathy with other people too. Therein lies an issue, because when you feel empathy with someone else and you mention it to that someone else, 9 times out of 10 they will not say or confirm what you feel because they want to cover it up.
Or they'll try to say that's not right.
Yes, and that throws your confidence off. I've had that happen to me, and it seriously threw my confidence off until I had to tell myself several times, no, this is what I'm receiving, this is what it is, and this is what I have to trust myself, and the intuition that I'm receiving. So you're gonna get it, and people are gonna say no. Just like the young caller who called earlier, it's like no, and then she's gone. So that means we were getting ready to touch on something she didn't want us to touch on. But that's a part of that empathy. That's a part of that intuition. That's a part of that everything. So the empathic ability, the telepathic
part of that
ability.
Everything.
It is everything to me.
It is. I agree with you. I'm just slap happy at the moment. Forgive me. What else
since
is
you're
new,
slap
right?
happy, should we go on a break?
Oh, sure. Let's be slap happy on break.
Oh
my God, I love that
song. Welcome back to Universal Journeys. I love that song.
Me too. I cannot get enough of it.
So, we're going to put some plugs here for the Mystical Awakenings Radio. Not only do we do the Universal Journeys Radio here from 7 to 9 every Sunday night, but we have Beyond Smoke and Mirrors Monday nights from 9 to 11. On Tuesdays, we have Sacred Journeys from 7 to 9. Mystical Awakenings Radio with Deb DeRoos and Deb Markham is on Wednesdays from 7 to 9. True Paranormal is on Fridays from 7 to 9 with Deb DeRoos and Jonathan Lento. So don't forget, we have all these shows on these weeks, these days of the week. And back to you, Donny.
Back to me. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so we were just going through the habits of highly intuitive people, because we sometimes get questions from people about how they can determine whether or not they're intuitive, right? So the next one, picking up where we left off, is intuitive people pay attention to their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Paying attention to your dreams is a way to get in touch with your mind's unconscious thinking processes is a trademark of intuitive people. Both dreams and intuition spring from the unconscious, so you can begin to tap into this part of your mind by paying attention to your dreams. And this is something that I've been developing over the past few years, because a lot of imagery in my dreams end up happening in real life in a different way. Like, certain things will happen. Like, I know, and I don't mind revealing this at all, because I know you and I have talked about it many times, Brenda. I have a lot of dreams about geology, a lot of dreams about volcanoes, earthquakes, sometimes tornadoes, and usually in almost every situation, it symbolizes something that's about to change in my life. And in the dream, if I'm running away from it, that symbolizes me trying to run away from this change. If I'm not running away from it, facing it, it means that I am accepting this change. So if you pay attention to your dreams and the imagery in your dreams, they can help you sort out what's going on in your mind. It can help sort out decisions and help you make decisions. And I know it's happened to me before many times. When I chose to go back to school for my master's degree, I had like crazy dreams units before, and it all pointed toward me being afraid of making the change, but needing to make the change.
Yeah, that's true. And some of the dreams that we have are called lucid dreams, where we are actually going into a different dimension, and we are getting ready. We see something that's going to happen or has happened or is happening on a different plane. I mean, lucid dreams is just like real. They're real. So it's very possible that through that type of dream, we've actually lived it in another dimension. So it also gives us a lot of insight.
Right, I agree with that. Okay, so this one was pay attention. Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm going to say, the other thing is, there are a lot of dream books out there that you can purchase and just kind of see what the generalization of what your dream may mean. It is really up to you on the interpretation of it. Dream books are very good because I use them just for clarification processes. I mean, I remember when I was going through all my dreams, like, okay, what does this mean? Okay, I dreamt of a house, or I dreamt of a person, and this person, might have been an actor, and this is the role they played. And so you really have to look at all the different dynamics, and dream interpretation books will help you to do that. You don't have to take them verbatim, and 9 times out of 10, I would not suggest that. But it really is what you feel your dream is. And, we have people who do that, who interpret dreams. I mean, Donny, you and I both do that.
Yeah. And, and I didn't realize this until I ended up getting counseling one year because, I kept telling my counselor I was having some very, very vivid dreams. I would have dreams so vivid that it would, pull me in and prevent me from waking up, actually. I remember having dreams where I would continually try to wake myself up, but I couldn't because they were literally keeping me from consciousness. And, I mean, those were really intense. And I was like, what is going on? And she was like, you were lucid dreaming. You wanted to stay in that world, so you chose to. Your subconscious self chose to.
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but that's all right.
Well, I don't know if I agree with it either necessarily, but she interpreted the images for me, which that's what kind of got me into interpreting my own dreams.
Good.
Keep in mind, there are some dreams that I have no idea how to interpret, but I think we all have experiences like that.
Oh, yeah. Things are like, really? What does that mean? I mean, for me, those type of dreams are really space odyssey type of things. It's like, really? But later on, they unfolded the way they were supposed to, because really in dreams, there are certain dreams that you cannot know all the answers, because if you know all the answers to that dream, you would change it, and you would change the outcome that's meant for you to actually live through.
Exactly. Okay, so we just covered they pay attention to their dreams. So the next one... Computer, could you cooperate? Thank you. The next one is they enjoy plenty of downtime. Few things stifle intuition as easily as constant busyness, multitasking, connectivity to digital devices, and stress and burnout. According to Huffington, we always have an intuitive sense about the people in our lives on a deep level. We know the good ones from the flatterers and the dissemblers, but we're not always awake enough to our intuition to acknowledge the difference to ourselves. The problem is that we are simply too busy. Again, this comes down to the fact that we need to make the time for it, right? And a lot of us often don't do that.
Very true. And right now I'm going through a phase like that to where I'm so busy that I'm not making the downtime for that. And that's been a hindrance. So that's a good one. I'm glad number 10 come out there. So that's good. It's like, oh,
so
hey, here you go.
What would be interesting for our listeners is explaining how it becomes a hindrance for you.
Well, when you're so busy, you're thinking, your mind is constantly thinking on different things. I mean, right now, I'm doing what? I work full-time at a credit union. I have my own business I have to maintain. My creativity is there because I'm developing things and I'm, creating things. But it's still a little bit different. Still keeps me, there's pressure behind that. So I have to do that. Let's see, I am a president of a service club. So that keeps me pretty busy, and I have to go with that. And then, you have other things that are going on as well. So my regular routine of sitting down for an hour and meditating has been replaced with busyness, with focusing on different things, and I've noticed a drop in my intuition, even though it's picked up in a different aspect with, say, my creativity for my business, but still it's not the same. So it's developing and trying to balance. It's like I'm trying to balance 4 different areas in my brain all at one time, and that's not always possible. Oh, you got administration stuff thrown in there too, so you have financial administration, creativity, and also being a leader. So you have all those things that you have to balance your brain through, and that can be a challenge. And it was a challenge for me when I first bought the business. So I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? I got pressures, and so it's just quite interesting. So what this article is saying, especially number 10, and what Donny said, is you really do have to make time. You have to take downtime. And that's something I didn't do when I first started my business, was take downtime. And I was getting burned out. And some of my emotions and everything else that came out there was crankiness and, touchy-feely, like, rah, because I was, and my jaw, I was getting to the point to where I was fine at work, but when I started driving home, my jaw on the right side of my face was tightening up, and then you got money issues that come up because you got to get the product up, but yeah, you got to purchase it first before you're going to get paid from your customer. So all those dynamics are coming in there, and it's like, and you have to back away, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait till September so I can take a break. But I had to realize the other day, no, the weekend is here. I have to take the whole weekend off, step back out of everything, just enjoy it, and really that did help out quite a bit.
Good. And I think but see, the thing is also being able to recognize that you need to do that, and you did, which for those of you listening, I think that's the first step that you need to take. You need to recognize when you aren't making the adequate time to pay heed to your intuition, and being stressed out isn't going to help you at all, and that's when it's going to make us plunge, is when we can't pay heed to it. Actually, we have one more after. Okay, keep going, Brenda. I'm listening.
Okay. I was going to say, in everything that you stated in this particular article has been really spot on for intuitive individuals. So
definitely.
if you can listen to those things, and you can listen to your body, and you can do your self-reflection and stuff, you'll be able to recognize when you need to take a break. By taking just a little bit, but you'll recognize it, and that's when you step back and say, okay, I need to take a break, and be outside for a whole day or something. You'll recognize it. That's part of being intuitive.
Exactly. By the way, for those of you who want to read more in this article, if you go to our Facebook page, Universal Journeys, you can find a link to it. So definitely go check it out. Okay, so we have one more to go. The last and final one is intuitives mindfully let go of negative emotions. Not always mindfully, but sometimes we do. Strong emotions, particularly negative ones, can cloud our intuition. Many of us know that we feel out of sorts or not ourselves when we're upset, and it may be because we're disconnected from our intuition. When you are very depressed, you may find your intuition fails, says Burnham. When you are angry or in a heightened emotional state, your intuition can fail you completely. This evidence isn't just anecdotal. A 2013 study in the Journal of Psychological Science showed that being in a positive mood boosted the ability to make intuitive judgments in a word game. That's not to say that intuitive people never get upset, but your intuition will fare better if you're able to mindfully accept and let go of negative emotions for the most part rather than suppressing or dwelling on them, and I completely agree with this. 5 million%.
I agree with that, too. Yep, I agree with that, too.
And the interesting thing is, again, this comes back to how we deal with those emotions. And it comes back to that whole sense of logic. I feel like intuitive people are very logical because we objectively examine what emotion that we're experiencing, and we kind of go through this process where we're like, okay, why am I feeling this? What caused it? How do I get through it? How do I let go of it? And in doing that, we grow and our intuition becomes stronger.
I agree. I agree. And you said it all. I don't have anything else to add to that one.
Well, it looks like we have a couple callers. Do we want to get to those?
Sure. Go for the gusto.
We only have 11 minutes, though, so...
Okay. Do 404 first.
Or are you bringing them in?
Yeah, I'll let you bring them in. Do 404 first.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hi. How are you ladies?
Good.
We're great. How are you?
I'm good. This is Ashley.
Hi.
Hi. I was calling. I'm just really excited because of, starting a new life and dating new people, and just want to know what you see about this person I'm currently dating.
I don't know about the person, but I'm getting, for the other stuff in the new life, is keep going forward. Don't stop. Keep going forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting a sense that moving forward, maintaining that forward momentum is important. And I feel like you've always been that kind of person, though, haven't you? You experience things, you accept them, and you move forward because, you've learned from your own personal experiences that's what you have to do. And since you've learned that, I think that's something that you need to continue to do.
Okay, yeah, I'm doing that currently. Everything is falling into place, and, for the last couple of years, just been really wanting a companion.
So you've been wanting a companion.
Yes.
Brenda, you go first.
I was going to say, if everything is falling into place, that means you're going in the right direction. And the companion, if you don't already have one, is coming into your life, but there's a couple other steps that you need to do, and you know what they are, but you're just kind of hesitant on it. I would say once you do that, and by the end of October, you'll have a sight, and I say a sight, of a companion, a compatible companion, actually. Very good.
Yeah, I'm feeling that too. I think it's going to happen sooner than you think because people are going to gravitate toward your being. I feel like you're a very headstrong person, and that is what's going to gravitate a companion to you. They're going to notice that. And the thing is, you may not realize that this person is noticing you, so don't get discouraged right off the bat because they will come into your life and they will make that move, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you got someone right now looking at you.
Mhm. It's already started. It's already started.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just patiently waiting. As far as career-wise, I feel like I'm doing everything that I can. I don't know what else to do.
And see, the thing is, since you already know what you're doing and you already feel confident about it, maybe there isn't anything else you need to do.
Okay.
Well, and then sometimes too, the process of doing is letting that thought go that you need a companion. Because the more you have that thought there that you need a companion in your life, that's going to make you, elude you. But if you have a thought, if you just keep going, it's like, okay, yep, I believe in God, and I'm getting, so I'm having faith, and you just let it go. Give it up to God. Let go and let God, type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, it'll be there.
And see, the thing is, I think you're already doing that, too. I think you're on the path of doing that.
Yeah, I am, but it's just like, what seems to be happening is, I do that, and then it's just like a year goes by, and then another year goes by, and then I'll meet, like, these different people, and, and it just seems like it gets worse. And I put myself in situations that I probably shouldn't have been in. And, it's like, but it's seeming like I was more patient when I was younger, but as the time goes by, it's like now stuff that, just running into people and, like, easily falling for them, it's just like I possibly wouldn't do that when I was younger, but now it's just like, okay, it's happening a little more frequent, and which isn't good for my emotions and stuff like that. So that's why I'm like on that, because it's like now if anybody that pops up in my life, it's like, oh, can this be it? Can this be him? It's just like, so it's just like, usually I'll be real picky because I'm known to be picky. Now it's just like, I'm like, okay, is this him? Is this him?
No.
And it's just not putting myself in situations that I would possibly be in as, a younger girl. Like when I was young, I would say I made better decisions as far as dating as an 18-year-old compared to going close to 30. So,
Mm-hmm. That's young, girlfriend. That's young.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like,
time is an illusion.
Yeah, when you work a 9 to 5, and it's not like you're in college anymore where you're out and just, you become real domesticated and you just want that companionship, because it's just like, okay, there's nothing else to do. Like, what the hell? I mean, what the heck? So it's just like,
I just got to write the third time.
So that's why I'm like, okay, is this it? Because I met this guy, and not only that, you have personal needs. Like you got needs as a a human being. So there's another guy that I met, and it's just like, okay, it's been a very long time. Is this the guy? He seems nice, and it's just like everything goes out the window. So that's why I'm calling in and asking before I make any more moves.
Okay, have you sit down and written a list of what you want in someone, what you're really looking for?
Yes, it's
not
in
what
the
you
Bible.
don't want.
It's in Psalms. In the Bible, it's sitting there. It's a long list that I made. It's I made the qualities that I want in the guy and everything. It's been sitting in the Bible since 2012.
You better get that out of there, girlfriend. Relook at it, Jim.
Because
it's a great place to have it, though.
Yeah, it's been sitting in the Bible, but I'm really like being honest. Like, I promise you, just being so like anxious for that person. Like, I really put myself in situations like over and over again where I can tell you I almost lost my life. Seriously, last time I got robbed. So it's just like, okay, just weird stuff is happening, and being that I'm just so like, I've been waiting for a very long time, and that's.
The thing is with waiting for the right person, it says something, because when you wait for the right person and that right person comes into your life, they're still very young. Now, I can tell you a secret, okay? Mm-hmm. When you're younger, you're going to go out and have all the fun and everything else, and good people come into your life, and then you get to the point to where you're at right now, or the stage you're at right now, where you're like, oh, I'm running out of time, and then you get to another point, I would say maybe in your 50s. I'm just saying this, okay? This is because this is what I'm going through right now, and I'm in my 50s. Doesn't mean everybody is, but for me, it's like, I don't care anymore. I really don't. Time is an illusion. We hear time is of the essence. Well, time is an illusion. So you go out and do what you want to do. Go out and have fun. Be who you are. Don't expect, because when you expect, you're going to get the wrong person, just like you've already experienced. But if you go out and you have fun and not think of, okay, I want this person in my life, or is he right for me, or is this the right one? Trust me, I still do that every once in a while. And it's like, nope. It's like, nope, we got to do what we have to do here and just allow it to come, because everything is falling into place for you. So when you just say, okay, I'm cool, because when you stop wanting and you stop needing, guess what? That's when it's going to happen. That's how I got my first, I'm going to say my first husband, my only husband, but now he's my ex, but that's what happened to me, because I wanted, and then I stopped. It's like, that's it, I'm done. So I went on my business, stuff like that, and then lo and behold, someone else, he came into my life, and I married him. So he was a good guy.
Brenda, dear, we're down to about 50 seconds.
Yep, and we are down to the wire here. So,
okay.
Thank you very much for coming in, and hopefully that'll help out a little bit, and you have a great week.
Yes.
So, thank you. So everyone, just remember, follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. And have a great week, everyone, and thank you for joining us today.